There are a lot of videos right now telling you how to create attraction and how to be more attractive. So you have videos that tell you to be a high value man, for example, or the masculine feminine polarity. But I want to take it even further in this video, and I want to show you the core essence of what it means to be attractive. And this will apply whether you're in a long-term relationship or you're in a dating stages and trying to attract a person for the first time. And this is gonna blow your mind, guys, because it's blown a lot of my clients' minds as well. And once you understand this, you really unlock the secret to attraction. So to begin to gain a deep understanding of this, you need to understand the difference between external manifestation and internal intention. So I want you to imagine for a second that you see someone giving $1 million to charity. Is that a good thing or bad thing? A lot of people say it can't be a bad thing, but really we cannot know whether that's a good thing or bad thing until we understand the internal intention behind that external action. If the intention behind giving $1 million there is to be altruistic, to do some good for the world, then yeah, the action is good. But what if the person is giving $1 million to charity to try to control the board of that charity, to try to depose or to ruin that charity eventually? Then you can see how that negative internal intention would color that external action to be a bad thing as well. And the mistake that a lot of people make is assuming someone's intentions from the actions. And when you do this, sometimes your assumptions may be correct, but often your assumptions may also be wrong as well. So what does all this have to do with the topic of attraction? The problem is that a lot of men, they mistake what it means to be attractive as what is attractive in the external manifestation of it, and not really what is attractive in the internal intention behind it. So you see a lot of men, for example, who are obsessed with appearing dominant, appearing alpha, appearing strong, appearing like they have no emotions and really just are so in control of their emotions. And they try so hard to display this masculinity that they have to the overt external manifestations of it. And another great and classic example of this is, let's say the guy in the bar who some guy hits on their wife or their girlfriend, and they try to assert their dominance by saying, what are you doing? And to try to cause a fight and a row at that particular point in time. And this mistake of trying to appear like you're masculine and not really working on the internal intention, as you will learn later, causes a lot of havoc. And it actually can make you less attractive to women. Now, before we go there though, if we're saying that the external manifestations here are not what it means to be attractive, then what is? What is the core essence of attractiveness? And the root of attraction is really safety. And I want you to remember this. Women are not attracted to men who display the external manifestations of masculinity, like dominance, power, appearing macho, the strength, etc. But women are attracted to men who have the right internal intention that allows them to create both psychological and emotional safety in the relationship for their partner. And this is a very crucial distinction because for every external manifestation you can think of what it means to be masculine, there's almost like this bell curve. So let's start with one side of the bell curve when, let's say you show no sign of the external manifestations of masculinity. So you're extremely beta, you're kind of a pushover, you have no dominance, you have no strength, you're just kind of soft. And you can't even seem to stand up for yourself, to protect yourself, to thrive for yourself. Now, when you are here, people are going to look at your external manifestations or the lack thereof, and they will assume an internal intention behind it. And the internal intention they will assume is that you don't have a lot of the masculine traits to make her feel safe, to make her feel secure, both emotionally and psychologically, and also even physically sometimes. So this side is very unattractive, which is why this side of the bell curve is low. But a lot of men know that being beta is not the way to be attractive. But the problem is that they go to the other extreme here, where they show this dominance, this masculinity in such a strong way. And if you're here, you may be attractive at first, but you will also lose people later. For example, if you're over on this corner, women will see, for example, oh, this person has a lot of strength, a lot of dominance, a lot of masculinity. He has a lot of success, a lot of power, is great. And from those external manifestations, they can at first assume the internal intention that, wow, they must be having a lot of masculine traits that can actually make me feel safe, emotionally, physically, and psychologically as well. But if you show too much dominance, too much power, for example, to the point where you are making your partner feel physically threatened, where your power and dominance becomes sometimes a bit physically violent, or emotionally violent that makes your partner feel very unsafe. I had a client who was very high profile, and he often used his power and his strength and his high profile status to basically belittle people who combat him, who question him, who makes him feel insecure. So basically, these are moments when your partner is making an assumption on your internal intention, on who you are, based on those external manifestations, feels attracted to that at first. But once she sees that those external manifestations are not based on real, genuine, noble internal intention, and she can no longer see that you are someone who can make her feel safe, that is when someone can appear attractive at first, but then quickly you get really turned off very, very fast. And this is why you see a lot of men who adopt this red pill movement, for example, and try to be so high value or appear high value. They may have no problems attracting women at first, but you see a lot of men who have troubles keeping their women by their side. Because once again, this essence of safety is lost. Doesn't matter how much masculine manifestations you display. If the safety is lost, you are no longer going to become attractive to women. So the key to this attraction is really to embrace this middle, where you're displaying a right balance, the right types of masculinity, of dominance, of power that actually create safety and not destroy it. And so the essence again is this safety. So the next question becomes, how do we embrace this middle? How do we embrace this middle so that we can be as attractive as possible to the opposite sex or to your partners? And so the first step to being attractive is really simple. It's just to learn how to create that balance of safety. Now, the tricky thing though, and the reason why a lot of my clients take months to really understand what the safety is, and why a lot of men can understand conceptually what it means to create safety, but they can never actually create it to be attractive to their partner, is because creating safety is very much a falling outcome, a falling thing. And we discussed this in many of my videos before, where a lot of men think they're creating safety, but actually what they think they're doing that to create safety is actually destroying more safety. And a classic example of this is when you think about falling asleep, for example. You would think that for falling asleep, the more you try to fall asleep, the more you check in on yourself, whether you're asleep or not, the more effort and the more willpower, the more attention you place to the act of trying to fall asleep, you would fall asleep more. So the more effort you place to falling asleep, the more you should be able to fall asleep. But this is really not the case. Often the more you try to fall asleep, if you obsess about falling asleep, you will usually go further away from falling asleep. Now the same way, if you are trying a lot of things to force or push your partner to feel safe towards you, if you, let's say, constantly check in on her, whether she feels safe with you or not, and then maybe if you realize that she doesn't feel safe with you, you start to get all angry and upset. Why don't you feel safe with me? I've given you everything you need. Or maybe you try to logically convince her to feel safe with you, where you say like, well, here are all the reasons why you can feel safe with me. Or you play some manipulative games where you say to her, for example, you know what, if you don't see the value in me, then I'm just gonna walk away and whatever. I don't need you, you're not important to me anymore. We think that all these things will actually allow our partner to fall safe, to feel safe. But actually, back to the sleeping example again, this will actually take your partner further away from feeling safe with you. And a great example of this is I had a client one time who applied for our program, and he was saying to me, Jeff, I know what safety is, and I've been having a lot of conversations with her about how she can feel safe with me. I've been telling her all these reasons why she can feel safe with me, but no matter what I say or do, she somehow is not feeling that safety towards me. But again, that's precisely the problem. You're trying to use a striving approach to create safety, but when you do that, you're actually making it harder for her to feel safe with you. And this is again why a lot of men can conceptually understand what it means to create safety, but in practice, it becomes much trickier and harder to do because it's very much a falling outcome. And to get a falling outcome, you need a very different approach than what you're used to. Which is why in our program, we allow our clients to spend many months just mastering and understanding this concept of safety and what it means to create it in practice. And the hard part is not what to do to create safety, but understanding the paradoxes of what you do that actually destroys it when you think it actually creates it. And the second step is to really master what we call an anti-fragile internal bulletproof mindset. And so the reason why a lot of people fall to either one extreme or the other, and they can never embrace the middle here, is because they do not have the right internal shifts to allow them to thrive and do the right things during the high pressure moments, during moments when they're under threat. So the lack of thriving here creates your need to self-preserve under threat. And when you try to self-preserve, that is when you show a lot of defense mechanisms that push you to either extremes. So a lot of men either go to the passive route, where they just get all meek and shy, and they basically tuck their tails underneath their legs and just kind of walk away. Or a lot of men, when they're under threat, they go to the opposite side when they become overly aggressive, overly dominant, overly controlling. And either way you go is because, again, you cannot thrive with the threat, with the high pressure moment of the situation. And so the only way to get to the middle here, when you're not acting out of that self-preservation and you can get to the middle, is by adopting what we call a thriving bulletproof vest. And I've already made a video on this before, so if you want to check out the video, click the link above my head also down below this video. And the third step is to really get connected with what we call the noble intentions. So for every action you take, every action you make, there are really three internal intentions that needs to exist for that action to seem noble, to seem genuine, to seem attractive at the same time. The first ingredient here is what we call the selfless external motivators. So this is really about how does what you do here benefit other people? And not benefit other people from your perspective, but actually benefit other people. The second ingredient is what we call the intrinsic motivation. How does doing that action not only benefit other people, but also how does that intrinsically make you happy as well? And it also needs to have this third point, which is the selfish internal motivation, which is how does this action also benefit me in a selfish way? And every single day, I always try to get very deeply connected with all these three intentions for my own line of work, for example. So for my line of work, I know that what I do benefits other people because I help them save their marriage and grow themselves. But also the act of helping people grow themselves makes me fulfilled, makes me happy. But also doing this successfully also gets me a bunch of money, financial freedom that I also want. So I have all three balanced here. And because of that, I hope that whatever I put out, whatever videos I put out seems a lot more genuine and a lot more noble, a lot more attractive because of that. The same thing happens during sex, for example. In order for the sexual experience to be good, to be fun, to be attractive, you need to see that the person is doing it because one, he wants to make the other person happy, but making the other person happy makes him happy, but also he's there not just as a martyr to just make the other person feel good, but he also wants to feel good too. All this balance needs to be there. If one of these ingredients are missing, that's when whatever you do becomes quite unattractive. So imagine again if you're in a bedroom with someone having some intimate moments and you can sense in your mind that they have the selfless part of it, they have the intrinsic motivation behind it, but you cannot sense any selfishness to it. Like you can tell this person is not really having a good time, but they just are so hell-bent on letting you have a good time. Can you actually enjoy that time in the bedroom? Usually not. You will feel guilty, you will feel suspicious. Well, what's in it for you then? You can't really see that action as something noble. So let's say this intrinsic is missing now. Imagine someone giving you a gift, but they're giving you a gift very begrudgingly. Like the act of giving you a gift actually does not provide them any intrinsic benefit, any intrinsic happiness to doing that at all. Can you actually take that gift? It'd be harder for you to, because it's harder for you to see that action as noble. Now, of course, if the selfless part is missing, where they're just giving you a gift, let's say, out of their own personal benefit, then of course you cannot see that as a good thing because you're thinking to yourself, well, how selfish. So if just one of these ingredients are missing, that's gonna make whatever you do seem a lot more ingenuine, a lot less noble, and a lot less attractive as well. And all three needs to exist for every single thing that you do. So understanding this is conceptually quite simple, but doing this every single day for every single thing that you do can be quite difficult because we've been trained as a society to act without really getting connected with what are in our inner intentions behind why we do something. But once you can make it a habit for yourself to always act out of these three internal intentions, that's when everything you do becomes a lot more genuine, a lot easier for people to receive, and a lot more attractive for people as well. And once you get connected with your internal intention, the next step is to make your intentions known. And we do this by what we call the 7 frameworks, where if you study the 7 frameworks, you will realize that all of them involve us expressing our intentions, our noble intentions in a proper way as well. So 2 classic examples from my life, for example. You know, whenever someone, we go to a bar or something like that, and then someone hits on my wife, or some hateful comments on the internet from some people. Whenever that happens, I just smile and I just turn the other cheek and go, that's fine. And A lot of people would see this as like, whoa, what a weak thing to do, what a beta thing to do. You're gonna stand up for yourself, which is why I use my frameworks to express to my partner my intentions of why I just smiled and turned the other cheek. And once I can clear up the intention and for her to assume a very different intention behind it, and that makes whatever action I took to be a lot more genuine, a lot more attractive, etc. You always have to make your intentions known, but do it in a proper way. And the last step, guys, is to really become a performer at this. So a lot of times, again, we can conceptually understand something and we can do something, we can understand something until we can do it right. Once in a while, sometimes. So we can act out this noble intention sometimes, but not at other times. But again, if you really want to be this person who radiates attractiveness, you need to be able to act out of these noble intentions and express your noble intentions in many parts of your life, all the time. So again, you need to become a performer as someone who not only can do this right, but they cannot get it wrong anymore. This has become your lowest default of how you do things, of how you communicate, of the reasons behind you do anything, etc. So if you want to learn more about all these key skills that we talked about in this video and really poise yourself to become more attractive to your partner and recreate that spark or recreate that attraction that you feel like it's lost in your long-term relationship, then you can join me in my masterclass in the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In the masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps all my clients have used to take them from a dire situation to where they are today, which is a thriving state in their marriage. So if you want to join me in the masterclass, click the link above my head or also down below this video. But for now, guys, I hope that was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video.